chirping in the background. Just trying to find my own equilibrium today, and I'm glad to help you perhaps do the same. I don't know why it looks so dark above my head. Anyway. I am open for personal readings, $13 US via Super Chat. Your Super Chat should show up here in the feed for me. I'm struggling. I do specialize in love connection readings. I'm really good at those, or anything that involves understanding empathically what other people are feeling or what their intentions are. So that opens up to a lot of things. Of course, I can answer any questions that you have, but it'll be $13 US per reading. Thanks for joining in. Anyone who is joining in with me today. While I'm waiting, I'm just going to go ahead and pull a card from the top to see, like what the general vibe is, what maybe our spirit guides, generally speaking, would like to bring to our attention via this opportunity that we have here. And the card that I pull is the Knight of Swords. This is an interesting card. It does indicate a sort of headstrong nature, quick thinking, impulsiveness. But we also have to remember, of course, this is the Knight of Swords, and all of the swords cards, the court cards included, indicate a development of the mind. So this shows an eagerness to arrive at a greater understanding. It also means that we do need to be using our logic in addition to our intuition. Then when I clarify, I get the Moon card. So our spirit guides are saying, like we may be wanting to understand something that's happening to us on a deep, very personal, emotional level, something that hits home to us emotionally. But we do need to keep in mind to be balanced between our head and our heart, to not allow our mind to pull us out of our emotional equilibrium. Hello, Aries Rainbow Child. I hope you're doing well today. But also to pay attention to our gut feelings and instincts at the same time. So a nice balance of those. I think the Wheel of Fortune card is saying that right now we have the opportunity to do that. We have the opportunity to align head with heart. So how can we do that most today, spirit guides? The Eight of Swords. Sometimes it's just nice to relax our mind and understand that when we allow our mind to carry us away, mind or not, it's not a balance of head and heart anyway. It's not the best use of our logic. Sometimes we can misuse our logic. We can misuse our minds just as much as we can misuse our intuition. Somebody's got some music playing. I'm at the park. Somebody just pulled up with the radio on. have no idea what this music is, but it sounds all right. I can appreciate all kinds of music. Yesterday I was in the Walmart parking lot and I had on the Fugees, a Fugees CD. So this is like mid 90s music. And there, I looked in my rearview mirror. There was a Gen Z person. I try not to get pulled into the generational conflict, but like the generations are at a place where I guess we don't really understand each other very well or something. I don't know what's going on. But they had their hands clasped over their ears, and I literally had my volume on 14, which is not very high, by the way. It's not like it was blasting. It's like, really, you don't like the Fugees? The Fugees. And then I came across a post on Instagram recently that made the point that Back to the Future, if it happened today, the movie Back to the Future, it would be a Gen Zer going back in time from 2024 to 1994, which was a real head scratcher because I don't know if anyone watching has seen the movie Back to the Future. But like there's this huge dichotomy. He's in 1985. He goes back to I guess 1955. But the sort of cultural differences between 1985 and 1955 seem like pretty intense. And they seem like they're bigger differences than those that exist between 2024 and 1994, but not really. I think it's just because we've become so used to how we're living now, we don't realize the impact of technology. Like if we actually went back in time to 1994 and like didn't have smartphones all the time and like social media, like so much of this stuff that we are just like it is something that we experience like daily. By the way, if anyone out there is watching, it looks like I have a few viewers right now, and you want to purchase a reading, it's via Superchat, $13. Anything you want to ask about is fine. But yeah, like it seems like the differences between 1985 and 1955 are greater, but really there are still like super duper extreme differences. Like in 1994, I'm not sure I had even surfed the web. The internet sort of existed. I graduated high school in 1999. And by the time I graduated, I had used email and like early chat rooms, which by the way were way better than the chat rooms that exist today because people actually were like nice to each other and not just like random trolling. But and like had actual conversations about topics that mattered, which also is something that like was common in the 90s. And now it's like, if you don't agree with me, you are not allowed to speak at all. I don't know. We'll see what happens today. Sometimes my spirit guides ask me to do things, and I feel like it's just a test. This is one of those things. My spirit guides were like, I was like asking, what should I focus on? Let me scratch my nose here. You didn't need to see that. And they're like, you should focus on trying to do lives again, but like, you know, doing paid readings on lives. I'm like, what, is this a trick? Is it a trick, spirit guides? But I'm like, what do I have to lose? I'm going to do it anyway. There's not much to lose. Hey, hello, Priyanka. Well, every weekend is a long weekend to me, but happy long weekend to you. I hope you enjoy it. I'd kind of actually forgotten that it was Memorial Day weekend, and then as I was driving through town here in Winchester, Kentucky, where I live, I noticed a few people having picnics and stuff, which is nice. I really feel like I would love to have that togetherness. I would love to have people to do a Memorial Day picnic with. God is trying to turn my life around in a lot of ways, and that is one of them, to integrate me more with other people, and also helping me to improve my health, all sorts of good things. But it's been through a process of trials and tribulations, if you will. Thank you, Priyanka. I appreciate that. I needed a hug today. I don't even know what my funk is. I'm trying to figure it out. Like, why am I in a funk today? I was feeling real good yesterday. Um, so I don't know. It's just moods, I guess. We just have to navigate those. But I hope you all are doing really well. I made some good strides. Oh, thank you, Priyanka. Your tarot readings get me through the toughest moments in life. Really? Well, that is nice to hear. I appreciate that. I know sometimes I also come across tarot readers who really, it's like energetically, they're like, readings are really speaking to me, and it does help quite a bit with my own perspective. So I think of myself as a healer, not just a tarot reader or fortune teller or whatever, not just a diviner, but I do hope to bring a healing presence to people and really help people. So it's nice to get that feedback and know that it is at least sometimes the case that I succeed. Sometimes it does feel like life is just one big long struggle, though. Priyanka's e-classroom. Hello, when are you going to upload pick a card readings? Your readings always resonate with me, and I got so much of answers and solution through it. Well, you're very welcome. I will record and upload a pick a card reading when it feels right to me again. So I don't know exactly when that will be. Yeah, I like to practice inspired action. To really feel the impulse. I feel like the pick a card readings are much better when I do that. But I am here available for a personal reading today if you'd like to get one. And that is my inspired action for today. But overall, for me, it's been kind of a Saturday, like I've just been letting myself chill. Yesterday, I got my bed cleaned. I do live in my van now. I'm a van lifer, if you will. Some of you already know this. And it was a bit of a task. I organized my car a lot better as well. Trying to honor and respect the material, items, possessions that I do have. And I slept great last night on my nice, fresh, clean bedding and my nice, organized car. Thank you, Priyanka. You're very encouraging. I know it's like, oh, wow, you cleaned your bedding. I appreciate the applause, though. Sometimes we need kudos for even the small things. But I'm working on some other things that I will be posting about in upcoming days. I'm trying to, I have some witchcraft products that I'm going to start selling, which are actual physical products, which I've never done before. So not just my services, which I've done for many years, but actual products that people can use for spell work. I don't know if I should talk too much about those I feel like I should, though. One of the things I'm doing are drinkable potions. I also have some handcrafted spell powders. And I think drinkable potions are really fun. It's like a fun and easy way to do magic at home. But like I've, uh, like energized the potions with the magic, and it's very easy for people to like do a spell at home by drinking the potion. A lot of times when people talk about potions, they're talking about liquids, but not necessarily ones that you drink per se. But aren't drinkable potions the most fun? Because when we watch like Harry Potter and things like that, they're actually drinking their potions. It's just, I feel like magic should be fun, right? Magic should be magical. And I also have spell powders that are made out of all sorts of cool ingredients that I've ground up together for various intentions and purposes, magical uses. Let's see if there's another general reading here, general message from Spirit. Spirit, what should we know about? So we have temperance. We're talking here about the witchcraft and spellwork I was mentioning, or something else? Something else. Seven of Swords and Queen of Wands. Our spirit guides are wanting to talk to us about... Let me see here. About inspired action. About inspired action and about listening to our own voice, like being our own teacher in a sense. Okay, spirit guides, what do you want to say about being our own teacher? First of all, they're saying like a lot of the wisdom that we have is wisdom that comes sort of outside of the textbook in some way, through thinking outside the box. So for example, let's say you're in a class and your teacher is saying da 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 da, and you're like, okay, that kind of makes sense, but I also feel like this is true. I think our spirit guides are just reminding us that those who are empowered with knowledge and who are teachers have something to offer us, but it's also important to only take what we need from that. Seven of Swords. Right, to balance our own knowledge with the knowledge that has been provided. So in other words, don't just accept the answer that is given. Sort of measure it out, weigh it out, balance out the knowledge or the information that is given. Use your free will to think for yourself. Okay. Using your free will to think for yourself. So this is like when our spirit guides guide us to do certain things. My spirit guides do this to me sometimes. They do test me. They're like, are you going to be willing to act according to your own values, or are you just going to do what we are telling you to? I don't know if anyone else can relate to that, to their spirit guides testing them that way, but mine do. I think basically they're talking about like being rooted and grounded in the earth plane, like grounded through our root chakra. They're giving me the metaphor of a tree, right? A tree's roots are deeply grounded, and because of that, the limbs can reach up towards the sky. Have you ever noticed that plants, when they're growing, they'll reach towards the sunlight? So I kind of feel like what they're saying is to balance. When we are rooted in our own sense of our own values and what really matters the most to us, yes, we can be influenced by where we're guided to go, right? Where the sunlight is pulling us. We're going to be drawn to the sunlight that is offered by people who know more, or whatever, the people in the know, or could be spiritual gurus, or, whatever, teachers, whoever. But when we're grounded, we're not going to be swept away by that as well. We can reach for that light and use it as nutrition, but not lose touch with our own essential self in a way. So this is what it means to be grounded. Oh, wow. And then the sun card comes out. Yeah, when we are grounded in our own values and our own sense of right and wrong, then the sunlight provided to others, it can awaken us, but it can awaken us in ways that are truly joyful. There's a quote from the Lakota tribe from a white buffalo calf woman that they're reminding me of, and you can Google the exact quote because I'm not good at remembering, but I'm sort of paraphrasing. And it's basically about the marriage of head and heart. When your head and your heart are aligned, basically we manifest so much more quickly, but that's not easy to do. When our head and our heart are aligned. I wish I could think of the full quote because it makes so much more sense. There's a sort of inner compass that each of us always has. And with that, when that inner compass is aligned with like the realities that we see in the world, maybe it's like if you were running a race, right? Your head is telling you what your objective is, and your head is helping you to navigate the terrain and whatever. But your heart is also what drives you towards it. I'm not even sure myself. I'm confused myself. Head and heart. Priyanka Rani says, it's always tough being guided by that inner light, not seeking validation, but it will give us a lot of happiness and freedom. Yeah, that's a really great interpretation of the cards that I pulled. That's very succinct and helpful. Thank you. Yeah, earlier I was asking some questions about my family and where they're coming from and their actions towards me. It's not that I want to totally interpret everything they do as negative, but like I'm trying to understand because their behaviors have been particularly negative towards me. I think that this message of head and heart is supposed to be applying to that. I think, yeah, my spirit guides might have their own perspective of it, but I have my own compass as well. Like, for example, I know that I can't be associating with a lot of my family members right now. Like, my spirit guides might see the good in them, and it's not that I don't see their good as well, but I have to navigate the terrain of my associations with my family via my own wisdom, via my own practical wisdom, I guess. There's only so much my spirit guides can help me to understand it, I guess. You know, they're not living it, and I suppose this is what the spirit guides are trying to tell me now. Maybe an acknowledgement on their end, like, well, you're not living it in a personal way. You might see the higher perspective, and of course the higher truth always is love, right? But we have to pour into our own lives. Our spirit guides can't do that for us. They can give us light. They're showing me the star card here. Look at all these stars. The stars are giving light. But ultimately, it's us, you know, naked and alone here on the earth. Again, balancing head and heart, balancing the practical world, the physical world, with the world of emotions, the inner landscape with the outer reality. My inner landscape is still very hurt. By a lot of the actions of my family member. I still, day to day, you know, have to overcome challenges that I've been beset by and not give up. And I have to accept the reality as it is. The reality as it is one in which my family members have actively tried to thwart me. You know, not helping is one thing. I can accept that because I'm a very self-sufficient person. What I'm having a difficult time accepting is the act of like trying to kick me when I'm down. Like that just seems unnecessary. And obviously it causes a lot of distress. So how do I balance that emotional distress and make space for that without losing ground with the progress that I'm making? The Ten of Pentacles. So like you know, sometimes being mature and self-sufficient and responsible. You know, I was always expected to be a caretaker of others. Even when I was a child. And it's just sort of my lot in life that that's not really given to me. You know, I'm like the old man here on the Ten of Pentacles. It's like I have to be mature and responsible. And being mature and responsible just means getting left out at this point in my life. You know, I have to do I don't know. I don't want to get into like belly aching, but I just grew up, you know, feeling that I had to earn love. And I just kept doing that over and over. being helpful to my family, making sacrifices for my family. Never really knowing what it was like to be a kid. Like, I don't even know how to have fun. I don't know how to have fun. I was never, even as a kid, like, I guess it isn't. I could just blame the externals. Like, it's inside of me, too. Like, I don't know how to have fun. I don't know how to be a kid. But I always felt like I had to earn my love. And so that's what I did. And, you know, I feel like my guides are just telling me, you had to get out of that pattern. Like, it's a painful way of getting out of that pattern. Thank you, Priyanka. Yeah. Thank you for acknowledging. It is a tough year. I know that what I'm going through is also nothing compared to like what many people are going through. And most days lately, I'm actually able to focus more on the silver lining and, you know, take it in stride. But this is the point that I had to come to. I had to experience, you know, enlightenment is disillusioning because when you become enlightened, it's like that lightning bolt energy, you know, like when lightning strikes a tree, it's devastating. It's enlightenment. You'll learn quick. I had to come to a painful awareness about what the situation really was with my family, and I had to distance myself. You know, what's funny is like years ago, I moved away from my family purposefully, trying to do that. It didn't work. I moved to another state. You know, I still feel ties to my family, so I'm like, well, I'm close enough that I can go back and visit if I want and need to. But I'm far enough away that I can have my own GD life. And yet I still couldn't have my own life. So it's just brought me to a place where I have to acknowledge, like, I've got to be like the King of Swords. Like, I have to cut ties with my family. It's very painful. Thank you, Priyanka's e-classroom. You're a very strong woman and helping lots of women through your channel. I don't know if I am. I don't know. Oh. Yeah, thank you again. I think I'm just letting my emotions out. I don't know, like I think my spirit guides just made me aware of maybe a reason why they had guided me to go live and try to do paid readings. Maybe they knew I wouldn't get any paid readings, but it would end up in me talking like this to fill the space, to get it out there. Every year at the beginning of the year, for the last handful of years, I've pulled one tarot card to like highlight what the year is for me, and it was the Emperor card, this card right here, which is also my life path card because I'm a life path 4. Depending on how you add the numbers up, I could also be a life path 22, but according to the most, the way people say is the correct way to add up the numbers, I'm a life path 4. But anyway, the Emperor card is, this is Aries energy. It's a card about, kind of having to do you, to focus on the self, to meet your own goals, to create your own objectives. Thank you, Priyanka's e-classroom. I have a couple of Priyankas here. You guys are being really nice. And Aries Rainbow Child, I don't know if you're still here or not, or who else is here, but yeah, sometimes it is nice to get it out. Maybe there's a reason for me to be able to need to do it publicly, but I do always hope that my nieces and nephews know how much I love them. I think that they do, but like the difficulties I've had with the adults in the family have just made it very, very challenging for me. I've had to make a lot of sacrifices to be a good aunt. Like I've taken a lot of arrows to the heart, and it hasn't been easy. My mom, who died when I was 11, she had a lot of mental health issues, like nervous breakdowns, like she had to be hospitalized for it multiple times. I've never needed to be hospitalized for my mental health, and I actually worked in a mental health hospital for a while as a nursing assistant. But my family, because I care about acknowledging the realities that need to be healed, because I care about healing the family, not having each generation repeat the same unhealthy patterns. They will accuse me of being like, oh, you have mental health problems like your mother. First of all, like, to insult me, I mean, they mean it as an insult. Like, you're like your mother. To insult me in such a way when my mother died when I was 11 in a car accident. My sister and I were in the car when it happened. If they really thought that I was in that great of mental distress, wouldn't they actually try to help me? Instead of using that as a point of insult, a point of demeaning me, and also an opportunity for betrayal. for actual betrayal. So, I mean, I feel that I have forgiven my family. The forgiveness is there, but the resentment is also still there. Oh, Priyanka's e-classroom. I'm going through the same situations somewhat, so I can understand this feeling when someone said these things. Yeah, it's very hurtful. I'm sorry that you're going through that. Yeah, it's just like a double slap in the face. It's like it's one thing to insult, but when you insult and put someone down in a way that's disguised as, it's because I care. Oh, you're like your mother. Well, my mother was a very loving person. She was emotionally and psychologically troubled. She was also the black sheep of the family, simply for having mental health issues. Like back in the day, I was born in 1980, so my mom died in 1992. Like, mental health struggles were not accepted. It wasn't the norm to identify as having a mental health struggle. You were really like seen as like a leper. You know, in the Bible it talks about lepers. Nobody wanted anything to do with lepers. It was the same kind of thing like back then. It was very like hush hush, and we don't talk about that. Or if we do talk about it, we want to make it clear we're not like that person. And my mom's siblings, some of them, especially my aunt who ended up raising me, well, really in particular her. Actually, I'm not going to accuse the other ones of this, but the aunt who ended up raising me after my mom died, she had been so jealous of my mom for getting more attention. She got attention and support from my grandparents because she had extreme mental health issues. Like, she was really struggling. Like, I remember her being like a zombie. She was like so depressed. Her diagnosis was bipolar, and I did witness her having sometimes some manic episodes, but her manic episodes weren't ever happy. I know mania is not a fun experience necessarily, but there are some people who experience mania who at least it's a fun ride for the beginning of it, or it can be. It didn't ever seem that way to me, and her depression was much more the prolonged experience of it, and especially on the medications she was taking, she was just like zombied out. She had been a school teacher before she had her first nervous breakdown, and she was a really good school teacher. I grew up in a very small town, one of those, like Mayberry type places where everybody knows everybody. And when I was a kid, like, people would come up to me and say, like, oh, your mom was my teacher. When I was in elementary school, she was my favorite teacher, like multiple people. I didn't know who these people were. They had been her students. And they still remembered her as, the best teacher that they had. One of them even said, your mom was the only teacher who ever spanked me, but she was still my favorite teacher. My mom was very loving, and every year for Christmas, she would make handmade ornaments for all of my nieces and nephews, as well as me and my sister. And so I feel like the legacy of her loving nature lives on, in those ornaments. I still have the stocking. She made also a stocking, handmade. They're very beautiful. Each one is unique for all of the nieces and nephews and for me and my sister. I still have mine. As many possessions as I have lost, I still have my stocking, which has my name embroidered at the top. So I think what I'm gaining is a sort of harsh wisdom, hard-earned lessons. I don't know. It's like I hadn't even thought about this in a while, but when I moved to Knoxville, Tennessee in 2005, I keep being reminded of that. Like when I purposely tried to get away from my family back then, my mama was still alive. I didn't want to, like, you know, I loved my mama. She was very loving. All the adults in my life growing up who loved me have all passed on. My mama, my papa, and my mom. My dad I actually have learned, my dad loves me a whole lot too, actually. So there have been positive things I've learned about family members through this process as well. And I think my bond actually with my dad has gotten closer, but you know, there were a couple years there where I didn't talk to him because I had some trauma that was happening to me a couple years ago that knocked loose these early childhood memories, and it was unsettling, you know. And at first I think my dad resented me for being aware of things that I guess he thought maybe I had been too young to ever be able to remember. Also, he was in the throes of like pretty extreme addiction at the time. Not that that excuses it, but I do feel like since that, you know, he has a remorse. It's not an open remorse, not like I'm saying I'm sorry or I'm openly acknowledging, but like I can just tell a sort of shift in him of well, I don't have to be threatened by the truth. Right? And I think that takes a lot of wisdom too. I don't have to be threatened by someone knowing the truth of me, which is a narcissistic trait. When people do that, and anyone can, you don't have to be a quote unquote narcissist, but like, I mean, I've felt this way before too. I don't think that I'm a narcissist, but we can all engage in narcissism sometimes. You know, like when someone sees a truth about yourself that you don't want to be true, so you resent them for it. It's like I'm just saying I feel like my dad was able to work past that and get to a place of like, okay, we've all done things we shouldn't have done. Sometimes really, really bad things that we shouldn't have done. But I don't have to be mad at someone for seeing the truth of it, right? I don't know. I've also this week started going to 12-step meetings, which is also something I did years ago. Primarily back then I went to Overeaters Anonymous meetings, which I have thoughts about how helpful or not that particular 12-step group was. It's just food is a very like haha weighted issue. It's difficult to navigate in the same way as other 12-step groups. I mean, when we're trying to figure out what abstinence is, you know, you can't abstain from food. But and I felt like in Overeaters Anonymous there was also a lot of like negative self-talk, and I don't notice this in other 12-step groups. I mean, I think there's a difference between acknowledging that there is a problem and like actively like shaming yourself and putting yourself down, or that being encouraged in the actual literature, you know what I mean? Or demonstrated by people writing the literature, like making horrible statements about how they looked and stuff. For me, I think self-love has been my own path to overcoming my food addiction, like to be able to find recovery in food addiction, and also, to be quite honest, I think it was 2017 when I had gastric sleeve surgery, and I don't know if I ever would have healed my food addiction if it weren't for that surgery. I really don't. Like, I was so lost in it. Maybe I would have, but gosh, I could not stop eating. So I think it was that, combined with, focusing on my spiritual journey and spiritual growth and just self-improvement in general. I don't feel at the mercy of food anymore. I don't feel, I just don't have that experience. And look, thankfully, because of my gastric sleeve surgery, I can't really binge eat. There were times, even after the surgery, that I kind of basically did, though, because a lot of times it would be an accident of eating too much. And then other times it really wasn't an accident because I was eating too often, I couldn't eat a lot at a time, but I could eat and then eat again 30 minutes later, or eat too much of certain foods. But the 12 Steps group has been helpful. I don't think I wanted to acknowledge the degree to which using THC was a problem for me. Like, I did actually know, I have acknowledged it before. There was a time I went 4 years being abstinent from THC. And so I've been able to know that it was a problem before, but I don't know. I just, at this particular phase of my life, and not just at this particular phase, but like, I am climbing a mountain right now. I need to be sober for that, and then sober for whatever comes after it. I think maybe I just wanted company. Maybe that's why I started this live today. I do also really look forward to getting a job. That's one thing that, going through this set of experiences I've had over the last few months, I never appreciated being an employee. And over the past 4 years, I've been able to be gainfully self-employed, which I really liked. I love the autonomy of it. But I had lost my vitality in it as well, and I was losing myself. I'd become so sedentary, and that's one of the things God wanted to change for me, and also so isolated, working from home, only interacting with clients. It's also something I like about going to these 12-step meetings. It's a way of like coming together with other people, having that spirit of like, hey, we're all, in the same boat, in the sense that we're all people who are interested in improving ourselves and maintaining the improvements that we've already made. But I never really saw employment as an opportunity or something to be grateful for. I don't know if I'm becoming more old-fashioned the older I get. I'm 43 for perspective. Just the hard knocks of life are making me really grow up. This is my midlife crisis. Wow. Some people buy a really nice, fancy car at their midlife crisis. I ended up living in my car. Like Jonah in the belly of the whale, God put me in the belly of a Chrysler Pacifica. And I'm so grateful that I have this car. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to cope if I if I were to lose this car, I don't think God's going to do that to me, but I'm aware that it's possible. Somebody said something at one of the meetings recently about, like, don't think just because you've hit bottom in the past that you can't hit bottom again. And there might be a trap door. Like, what you thought was the bottom, it could go worse. It could be even worse than that. But anyway, nobody's even listening to me right now, but I'm going to keep talking anyway. God has given me exactly what he needs, even in terms of, like, I've applied to lots of jobs, still don't have a job yet. Some other things that have happened in the last few months make it even harder. It isn't just being homeless, it's other issues that I have as a result of my family trying to get me picked up for a mental health evaluation when they could have just said that to me. I ended up having some legal issues as a result of that, because it took me by surprise. Hello. It's pretty shocking to be swarmed out of nowhere for seemingly no reason. They did the mental health evaluation from jail, which is where I ended up, because I tried to basically resist being taken, and now I have a charge on my record, which makes it even more impossible to get, not impossible, it makes it more difficult to get housing and a job. It is just a misdemeanor, but it's not a great sounding misdemeanor. I'm not even going to say what it is, but I understand that it's all for some sort of purpose. I understand that God is needing to align me. I don't know exactly where Nineveh is, because I think it was Nineveh, right, where Jonah didn't want to go to Nineveh, so he kept not doing it. God wanted Jonah to go to Nineveh, and he's like, okay, if you're not going of your own choice, I'll put you in the belly of a whale and I'll take you there. At the beginning of March, I went to this church service for, it's like a homeless outreach. And they were doing this church service. And at the prayer at the end, I was just like, what I need more than anything is clarity. There was this woman who came up to me and she said, what do you need prayer for? And I'm like, I need clarity. And she prayed over it with me. And then towards the end, the guy who was giving the sermon was, talking about, miracles are possible. And what came to me, and he's like, let's all pray together. And what the answer that came to me at the time, I still don't know, because sometimes I feel like I'm guided in certain ways, like a carrot's being dangled just to get me to do certain things. But I remembered that many, many years ago when I was 19, I saw a poster for the Peace Corps, and I wanted to join the Peace Corps, which, if you're not aware of what that is, it's something that John F. Kennedy started actually during his presidency, which, allows you to go abroad to third world countries and do service work of some kind. It could be an agricultural or social service or different things. And I remember thinking, like, wow, I would really like that. But when I was looking up information on it back then, it said that you need to be able to comfortably walk a mile. Well, I couldn't do that then. I can walk a mile. I wouldn't say comfortably. At various points in my life, I have been able to walk a mile, but I'm like, I feel like they would deny me. And so one of the things that God, in making me homeless, he forced me to walk more. I also got a Planet Fitness membership, so I would have a place to shower, and I work out there as well as sometimes working out outside. Like, I don't do like extreme workouts, but I'm capable of comfortably walking a lot further than before. And I have to like reclaim, like my capacity to do this, sort of basic thing. And I have aches and pains and tightness and pain in my legs. I have osteoarthritis in my right knee, degenerative osteoarthritis, and I also have lower back pain from some back injuries that happened when I was a nursing assistant, having to lift patients. And but when I am doing exercise regularly, I feel pain so much less often. Sometimes even going several days without pain if I do that. And I've noticed significant improvements. Like the improvements that I see in my mobility may not seem like much to anybody else, but like I can notice the difference. I've also lost 20 pounds over the last month doing keto. And I still have further to go. But, there have been times in my life when I was, the grass is always greener too. My spirit guides and God or whoever speaking to me right now, like reminding me of that. Like there have been times when I'm like, man, I really just wish I had the opportunity to just go out in nature during the daytime when I want to, instead of being holed up in a 40-hour job. Well, I've got that opportunity, like still waiting for a job to come through. And I think this is what I was trying to say. I feel like nobody ever wants, all of the viewers disappear when I'm trying to say this part of it. I guess it shouldn't matter to me what people think, but it does matter to me anyway for people to think that I'm not working purposefully. Like I've applied to a lot of jobs. And when I asked God about it, his answer, or what I understood the answer to be, is because if I get stable income and stable housing too soon, then I would be in danger of falling back on old patterns that are unhealthy, patterns that are not going to get me to where I need to be, whether that's the Peace Corps or whatever. Like God definitely wants my physical vessel to be healthier. And so he's doing the best thing possible for me in order to get me to that place. So I appreciate it. And I'm also being reminded with this Nine of Pentacles that I have lots of free time. It's just sometimes it feels like too much free time. So maybe I need to explore different ways of utilizing that free time. Maybe this was a what's the word I'm looking for? An experiment in how to utilize my free time more wisely. I got a thumbs up there, an Ace of Swords. Yes, Gabby, this was an experiment in finding ways to make use of your free time. Then I'm getting the message, hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait is part of the process of self-discovery. Hurry up and wait is part of the process necessary when we're experiencing any significant upgrade in life. Hurry up and wait. Things seem so urgent. Everything is catastrophic. Lots of change happening all at once. And then we're waiting. Rebuilding. What can be salvaged? What can not be salvaged? What's worth our efforts at this point? How can we create the best possible outcome for ourselves? Hurry up and wait. The process of waiting is never really waiting. It's about cultivating. Hurry up and cultivate. Hurry up and cultivate. Hurry up and cultivate. I feel like, I feel like God is trying to say something about, God's design for me and just in general. All of the little, spider web threads that we weave throughout our daily lives, represented by this 5 of Swords. A spider has this impulse to build a web. The spider may have some understanding of the web that it's building, but the web that it's building is it can only build that web according to God's master plan. In other words, what are the words I'm trying to use? Like sacred geometry. There are certain principles that are inherent in existence, which are the basic design or layout of life itself. God's greater plan, it's very immaculate, it's very complex. We grasp that at our own level. We can be the caterpillar, building the cocoon. It's part of God's greater plan. We think that what we are doing is insignificant, God is saying. Like the spider doesn't understand the importance of the spider web that it's building. We get caught up in small things, but the small things that we're doing with our life have great importance. Small choices that we make in our lives have great importance. But there's nothing we can do or choose to do that could exist outside of God's design. In other words, like universal laws. Like, again, I'm thinking sacred geometry. I don't know how else to phrase it. Like we can overcome gravity in a sense. Like we can push past gravity, but we still have to be acting according to the laws of physics. Do you know what I mean? It's like these principles that are inherent in the intelligent design, the fabric of life. We are all weaving into that fabric of life. Okay. I was talking at the beginning of this about, merging head and heart. And what does that exactly mean? I think that's part of what is being said here. When our choices are aligned with the divine fabric, the divine plan, we get further faster. And we can try to struggle against that divine plan. But effectively, that struggle will just keep us within the fabric in a different way. Like Jonah kept choosing not to go to Nineveh. If he had gone to Nineveh, he would never have ended up in the belly of a whale. It would not have been necessary. So I'm asking, how can I, as much as possible, have that alignment that I just mentioned of having my actions, however small they be from day to day, aligned with the divine plan? And I got these cards. Justice. That's the first one I pulled, which I interpreted as do the right thing. And then I was like, well, how do I know what the right thing is? And we get the Lover's card and the Magician. You're doing the right thing when you're doing what's best for other people without ulterior motives. When you do what is the best for others without ulterior motives, then you're doing the right thing and you're aligned with God's divine plan. And every time you make even a small choice that is being of service, being of help, being dutiful to other people, being helpful to other people without ulterior motives, you're planting a seed that helps connect all of the dots of God's greater plan. And whenever you're not sure, trust that God's greater plan is being constructed. If you don't have anything to give, trust that God's greater plan is still being constructed. It doesn't depend solely on you. The burden is not solely on your shoulders. You can give it to God whenever necessary, and that in and of itself can be an act of doing what was just said. Give it to God. If you don't understand how to be doing kindness or helpfulness to others in a way that doesn't have an ulterior motive, give it to God. Say, God, I don't know how to wrap my mind around this, so I can no longer worry myself to death over it. I'm giving it to you. I know I have a lot of talents, I know I have a lot of skills, but I don't know what the right thing to do is in this situation. So I'm going to give it to you. And God says, that's fine, give it to me, let go of it, and then go try to do something fun, have an enlightening experience, do something for the joy, do something to fill your own heart, and keep yourself filled up. Pour self-love into yourself. Do something that you know will advance your own potential in some way. Be carefree. It's given us a lot of options for what to do when we don't know what the right thing is to do. Consider all the many myriad possibilities available to you. And then sometimes you just have to take action and do the best thing you know how to do in the moment. More often than not, if what you're focused on is doing the best possible thing in the given moment, then you'll more or less be correct, right? Because most of the times when we spin the wheel of fortune, we land on something relatively positive. And very occasionally we'll land on lose, a turn, or bankrupt, but that's usually not what we land on. So God is saying we need to trust ourselves more. If our intentions are good and we're taking action based on our best intentions, then we don't have to have so much self-doubt taking action is usually going to benefit the higher good if it's done with good intentions, with noble intentions. And good intentions can even be in the intention of having fun, having an experience, having adventure, of personal development, of learning, of having self-confidence, of self-belief. Also of enjoying what we have created. We don't always have to be changing and changing and changing. Sometimes we can enjoy what we've already created. We can maintain the growth that we've already made. And then when we do these things, we'll learn more and more, and we'll have more and more opportunities to give back to other people, to share our joy with other people. Well, I think that's all that I had to say. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you later.